News 10 NBC, covering Rochester and all of Western New York. Coverage you can count on. This is News 10 NBC at 6.
Children to the beach to escape the heat, but health officials warn that kids with asthma should be taken out of the sun and into the air conditioning. Good evening, I'm Rich Funke.
I'm Janet Lomax. The humidity combined with the heat made it feel like it was over 100 degrees in parts of Rochester today, but a change is on the way. Meteorologist Kevin Williams joins us now from the Pinpoint 10 Weather Lab.
Janet, you bet a change is on the way, but we'll have to endure another night and day of the icky, sticky. There's no getting around it. Look at the numbers today from our Pinpoint 10 Weather Bug Network. These are the highs, and they're pretty impressive numbers. 98 in Fairport, 97 in Brighton. The official high, by the way, at the airport was 94. Nowhere near the record, but impressive just the same. Temperatures have dropped a bit owing to a little bit of a breeze coming in off the lake, but the humidity is still impressive. When you factor in the humidity to the temperature, it still feels as though it's in the upper 90s in Brighton and Fairport now, around 93 Port Byron. So if you're out and about, well, you know the drill. Dress lightly, but keep an eye skyward. There'll be an isolated thunderstorm. Most of us are rain-free. That'll change tomorrow, though. Widespread showers and storms herald a big change to the big chill, or at least cooler air. We'll have more on that coming up shortly. Back to you, Janet.
Kevin, thanks. Well, the heat can be dangerous, and people are advised to stay inside if possible. We checked in with local ambulance companies today. Call volumes have been 10 to 15% higher, we're told. The parking lot at Rural Metro was empty with all available crews on the road. We're told most calls related to the heat are for respiratory issues. Crews working outside in this heat and the elderly all having the most difficulty. Local hospitals tell News 10 NBC they're busy, but nothing unusual. Well, health officials warn children and people with asthma should limit their outdoor activities in this heat. So the Brighton soccer camp moved its kids indoors today. Leaders didn't want to put any of them at risk for heat-related illnesses.
You may not believe what we found at Ontario Beach in Charlotte this morning. Take a look at what's along the eastern shore of the beach near the Genesee River Pier. It's a dark line of algae, mud, and dead fish. The county says it tries to rake up what gets washed up on the beach every day. As bad as this looks, the designated swimming area, down a ways, was open today. It's been open 17 of 20 days so far this summer. While health officials warn us to stay inside, some of our furry friends have no choice but to be out in that heat. Nikki Rudd joins us live now from the Seneca Park Zoo. Nikki.
Rich, I think it's hot out here just wearing my suit, but imagine being a polar bear wearing a fur coat in this hot, sticky weather. Now, I imagine they're pretty hot, and we came here to find out what the polar bears, Yukon and Aurora, are doing to keep cool. The water is sweet relief for the two polar bears, and some ice cube treats filled with fresh fish aren't bad either. Both bears could be found chomping ice and swimming through the cool waters today. As for the people at the zoo, sprinklers were on hand to beat the heat. We talked with some young zoo goers. They say it's probably not that bad being a polar bear at the Seneca Park Zoo.
The polar bears are staying cool because they're swimming in the water. The water is very cool.
We're sticking to some of the indoor exhibits, and they've got some water going on, so we're staying nice and cool today.
And I can imagine even with the ice cube treats and the pool, those polar bears will not mind a cool down tomorrow. We're live at the Seneca Park Zoo. I'm Nikki Rudd, News 10 NBC.
Ontario Beach, Charlotte Beach, and Durand Eastman Beach will all be open until 8:30 tonight. A woman claims she narrowly escaped an attempted abduction in Fairport today. She told authorities she fought herself free from 3 men who tried to pull her into a van. Jennifer Johnson is in Fairport with the very latest on that. Jen?
Rich, right now, Fairport police say the key to cracking this case is finding the witness who came upon this scene. According to police, between 10:30 and 11 this morning, a 20-year-old woman was walking on Park Street near DeLand Park B here in the village. The woman says a black minivan came up behind her. The people inside yelled to her twice. Well, twice she ignored them and kept on walking. But then she says 2 black men got out, grabbed her by the legs, and tried to get her into the van. She screamed and kicked, and that is when the witness I mentioned arrived in a white Dodge Neon and said cops are being called. Those suspects let go of the woman and fled. We do have suspect descriptions for you. Suspect number 1 is about 30 or late 30s, about 6 feet, thin-built with short dreadlocks, and he was carrying a small black handgun in his waistband. Suspect number 2 in his late 30s, 5'10", medium muscular build, long dreadlocks, no facial hair, and the third suspect suspect in his late 30s as well, short hair, spoke with possibly a Jamaican accent. Now, I have spoken with some neighbors here. They said they didn't see anything this morning, but Fairport police say if you saw this or know anything about it or the witness they're looking for, the number to call, 223-1740. We're live in Fairport. Jennifer Johnson, News 10 NBC.
Anyone who has information about the suspects should call the Fairport Police Department at 223-1740 or call 911.
Protesters are rallying outside the Monroe County Sheriff's Office tonight. They claim that racial profiling was involved when officials arrested illegal immigrants at the Cheesecake Factory construction site in Pittsford. That's a story News 10 NBC broke last month. The Sheriff's Office is not commenting on camera today.
The tragedy in Bloomfield last month is getting more national attention. This week's People magazine remembers the 5 Fairport girls who were killed in that fiery crash. Catherine Varnum tells us the story of the friends following the SUV and how one girl's mother reacted when police came to her home that night.
Katie Shirley's mother pleaded with the police officer not to make her come to the door the night of June 26th. She knew it wasn't good news. Hours before that heart-crushing knock, she'd watched her only daughter ride off in a car, not knowing she'd never come home again. The Shirleys are shown in their daughter's bedroom in this week's edition of People magazine. In it, her mother says, quote, "We went to pick out Katie's urn, and what I wanted to buy was a comforter and sheets for her dorm room." Katie Shirley was one of 5 girls killed in the car crash in East Bloomfield. Shirley, along with Hannah Congdon, Sarah Monnet, Bailey Goodman, and Meredith McClure, were all good friends and recent Fairport High School graduates. Meredith McClure's parents say it only took an instant for their lives to be turned upside down.
They jumped in the car and they went off in less than an hour. I wish I'd gotten out of the car and grabbed her one more time.
Thousands from the community came together to honor the girls, calling them Fairport's angels. But no one will forget that night like the 4 girls who witnessed the crash. Riley Hall was driving the car behind Bailey Goodman's SUV. She's also featured in People magazine. On the phone today, she told me about that night. She says she saw Bailey Goodman pass the car. One of the girls in her car then screamed. Hall slammed on her brakes as Goodman's car hit the truck and burst into flames. "We were all screaming and crying," Hall said over the phone. "The fire started so fast, there was nothing we could do."
And this edition of People magazine is on newsstands right now. Riley Hall also told me today that she and the 3 other girls are planning a trip to the Outer Banks this week to be together and grieve together. She says it's been hard for all of them to sleep since the crash and just replays over and over again in her head. Catherine Varnum, News 10 NBC.
Earlier this month, the Ontario County Coroner's Office said all 5 girls died on impact before the car caught fire.
2 killers were finally brought to justice today for murders that happened over a decade ago. Christopher Gifford will spend 50 years to life in prison for the murders of Patricia Daggett and Lachelle Weaver. Howard Wright gets 25 years to life for one of the murders. News 10 NBC was there right after the victims' families learned Gifford's sentence this morning. The courtroom had to be cleared during Wright's sentencing because he started yelling at the victims' family members. Well, we have a couple of I-Team updates next. A former police chief takes a plea deal.
Plus, this local teacher is finally out of jail. We'll tell you how she ended up there in the first place next.
News 10 NBC is brought to you by Advanced Hearing Centers.
You're watching News 10 NBC at 6 with Janet Lomax, Rich Funky, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Williams, and Sports with Mark Gruba. Coverage you can count on. This is News 10 NBC at 6.
The former police chief in Mount Morris has agreed never to carry a badge again. It's an I-Team 10 update. Rick Albanese had faced felony charges of stealing guns from the police station while he was still acting chief. Well, today Albanese and the Livingston County District Attorney's Office reached a negotiated resolution. The charge was reduced to a misdemeanor and will be dismissed in 6 months if Albany stays out of legal trouble. A high school business teacher accused of scamming an elderly woman is out of jail tonight. News 10 NBC confirms that Lynn Taliento posted $50,000 bond from the Monroe County Jail. She is suspended with pay from the Rush Henrietta School District. State police say Taliento scammed an elderly widow out of $750,000.
There may be a whole family of bears roaming our region. DEC officials now believe 5 black bears are wandering around Rochester suburbs and the Finger Lakes. According to the DEC, 1 bear was spotted in Ogden yesterday. Another was spotted in Geneva yesterday. Another was sighted in Canandaigua yesterday. This is a picture of the bear that was spotted in Canandaigua, and DEC officials confirm that it is different than the bears spotted in Spencerport and in Rush. It is still hot out there. The temperature is still pushing 90.
Coming up, Kevin Williams tells us when it will cool down in his Pinpoint 10 forecast.
Today's weather is brought to you by Delta Sonic. Wash today and save big with any gas purchase.
The Barnes firm is proud to sponsor News 10 NBC's WeatherBug Network, providing you with live cameras and up-to-the-minute weather conditions from across our area. News 10 NBC and WeatherBug. Weather coverage you can count on. Now, weather coverage you can count on. Here's Kevin Williams with your Pinpoint 10 7-day forecast.
With heat and humidity, that would make Floridians proud. I hope you're enjoying it if you like the hot stuff, because in 24 hours it will be gone, and gone for a while. I've just looked at some of the newer long-range supercomputer data, and we're going into a cool spell, at least below normal temperatures from Thursday, probably for at least a week. So if you like the heat, enjoy it. Now, for all the humidity, haven't been able to convert that into much rain locally. Had a little downpour on the Webster Lakeshore earlier. That's what's left of that shower. Not much to look at. Oh, yeah, you can see the stuff west of Toronto up toward Barrie and Lake Simcoe. Big showers and storms, but from our analysis, they're tracking to the east, northeast, and will miss us. Maybe not even making it to the north shore of Lake Ontario. So there can still be an isolated, local pop-up thundery downpour. We have a little bit of a boundary between a lake breeze and the hot air inland, but I think it'll be very localized. Most of us are likely to be rain-free. And it is toasty, although we've dropped back down to 89 after a high of 93 here downtown at our East Avenue studios. Showers and storms have been very potent upstate across the Adirondacks. Some of these have been producing hail and damaging winds in the mountains of the north, but here, most of the area, again, rain-free. As I said, the air mass is still sufficiently unstable and plenty moist that anything that should fire could be locally heavy, but locally the key word. This is the line of interest, though. Big thunderstorms here in the Midwest, and they're being fueled by a potent cold front. Usually in summertime, cold fronts tend to melt away. They don't do much in terms of our temperatures, but this one will. For while we were in the 90s today, we'll be in the 80s tomorrow. Temperatures will be in the 70s on Thursday. We might have to struggle to get out of the 60s on Friday. So that's going the other way. That's probably too far, but that's the way the weather can be sometimes. So the heat's still on for now. Today, the 7th 90-degree day of the year. But yeah, the normal is 9, so this is nothing unusual. Normal high 81, and again, the record is safe. 2 days going. The record high yesterday and today, 102, set back during the Dust Bowl era of 1936. So no records around here. 94, the official high at the airport. There's that record high as cool as 48 back in 1997. In town now, 93, murky, but dew point is down a bit. So it was humid earlier, but the humidity has dropped a bit, but when it's this hot, kind of hard to notice. We're looking at temperatures from our weather watches. Notice on the lakeshore, it's dropped into the upper 70s. That's that little boundary I mentioned. That could be the focus for an isolated storm. And we've updated our water temperatures. Here are some Finger Lake water temperatures, 74, Canandaigua 75 in Keuka at last check. So showers and thunderstorms, mostly to our north and west, at least for now, but that front means business. Temperatures drop into the 50s. Behind it, up in Thunder Bay at 57. That's the air mass that makes a move here later this week. So an isolated evening storm, otherwise hazy and muggy tonight. Our pinpoint low of 76 city, 67 in the countryside. Across the board tomorrow, we're expecting the higher temperatures and then more in the way of sun on the east side. So Lyons at 88, Geneva 88, but even that sun will self-destruct to produce hefty showers and storms in the afternoon. And a good dose of rain for our parched lawns, about 82 in Warsaw with showers and storms. 82 to 88 the range with, again, a good drought-denting rainfall. 7-day forecast. Weekend always in view. Thursday's a winter, refreshingly cooler, 76. Friday looks cool. 73 could be pushing it with some showers. As for the weekend, Saturday looks nice. Sunday could be wet. Notice the temperatures 70s and low 80s, trending way down later in the period. We'll keep you posted here and on News 10 NBC Weather Plus.
It's a nice Saturday for the Teddy Tea Fest.
Yeah, it does.
Yes,
Nice.
that would be nice.
Be good.
Very good. Thanks. Well, shareholders of Bausch & Lomb are closer to accepting a takeover bid.
We will tell you why Senator Chuck Schumer is calling on the feds to investigate the deal right after the break.
Weather coverage you can count on. News 10 NBC's WeatherBug Network has been brought to you by the Barnes firm.
It was a down day on Wall Street today. The Dow fell 148 points. The NASDAQ and the S&P lost ground as well, and local stocks are along the bottom of the screen. Monroe County now has a, quote, negative outlook for its financial future. That's according to two major Wall Street firms, Standard & Poor's and Moody's. The change means the county will face higher interest rates on money that it borrows. County Executive Maggie Brooks says Wall Street is always pressuring the county to increase its revenue.
We don't think raising property taxes is the right thing to do for our community and the residents that live here. And unfortunately, the decisions that we make as a government are not always compatible with what Wall Street wants us to do as a business.
And the county executive says the county still borrows money at competitive interest rates.
Bausch & Lomb shareholders are planning to meet to decide if they'll accept a takeover bid from Warburg Pincus. That company and Advanced Medical Optics both offered to buy the company's stock. Financial experts speculate that B&L leaders are leaning toward the Warburg Pincus offer. Senator Chuck Schumer is worried, though, the takeover might violate antitrust regulations if Advanced Medical Optics wins that bid. He's calling on the Federal Trade Commission to review this deal. Well, up next in sports, an outdoor game for the Sabres.
Pond hockey at the Ralph. Brett Stagnetti has details coming up.
Tonight, the high cost some women are paying for the war in Iraq in a story we have never seen before. That and more here tonight on NBC Nightly News.
It is time for sports with Brett.
Sabres fans might need to bundle up for a New Year's Day hockey event, huh?
Yeah, this could be the most unique game we've ever seen on the ice. Our Buffalo sister station, WGRZ, is reporting tonight the Sabres will host an outdoor NHL game at Ralph Wilson Stadium, expected to be New Year's Day. The league will announce the regular season schedule tomorrow. Published reports in Pittsburgh say the Penguins will be the opponent. The game will be called the Ice Bowl, and it will be televised on NBC. Sabres and Bills are not commenting. Speaking of the Penguins, they've signed league MVP Sidney Crosby to a 5-year contract extension. The deal is worth about $45 million. Crosby still has 1 year left on his current contract. Sid the Kid turns 20 next month. It's game night for the Rhinos at Paytech. The New England Revolution of the MLS are in town for a third-round U.S. Open Cup match. The Rhinos come in riding the momentum of last Friday's thrilling league win over Carolina. Hamed Diallo is the new go-to guy on offense. He scored both goals in that victory, including the winner in stoppage time off a beautiful pass from Scott Pelguda along the side. Pelguda says Open Cup matches against the MLS provide the perfect spotlight to prove yourself.
Most of the players on teams in this league, there's a few guys that feel like they should be playing in MLS, so you're always out to prove something. And on the other foot, they're always out to prove something as well. They want to prove that they belong where they are, and they shouldn't be playing here. So there's always incentive for everybody in every game.
It's a tournament that's very special to Rochester and their fans, and one of our goals this season was to win the Open Cup. So we got to win this game to have a chance to do that.
Game time tonight is 7:30. We'll have the highlights at 11. It's the Major League All-Star Game tonight in San Francisco, and we can't forget the league that wins the game earns home field advantage for its team in the World Series. The National League has not won the All-Star Game since 1996. Last night it was the Home Run Derby. Former Red Wing Justin Morneau was knocked out after the first round. The finals came down to Toronto's Alex Rios and Vlad Guerrero of the Angels. Rios hit 17 homers over the first 2 rounds. He only managed 2 in the finals, and that allowed Guerrero to swing just about as hard as he wanted. He only needed 3 homers to win, and he got the victory on that sky-high drive to left. 3 Red Wing players will be in the AAA All-Star Game tomorrow night in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Matt Tolbert, Jose Morales, and closer Bobby Korecki, who plans to make the game a learning experience.
I'm really excited to talk to some of the players. I mean, I've played against a lot of these guys for for years, and to be on the same team with them and to kind of like pick their brains of how things are, how their season's going, and just kind of, you battle against them so much in an emotional game like this, and then all of a sudden you're on the same team. I've never had that experience before, so I'm really interested to see what that's like.
Korecki has 22 saves at the All-Star break. He's 1 shy of tying the franchise record, and that AAA game is on ESPN2 tomorrow night. That'll do it in sports.
Big night for
All right.
the Rhinos.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much. And we thank you for making News 10 NBC your choice for news.
The NBC Nightly News is next from New York with Brian Williams. We'll see you back here tonight at 11. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
For coverage you can count on at any time on your schedule, log on to news10nbc.com. We're always on.
Tom, I got him on the